what do you make of this notion? This is a lost generation. People should just tap out, especially
because they are the motive. I do not believe in this notion of saying we are the future. We are the current who are curating the future.
Come on.
You understand?
Yeah.
Because we can't be saying we are the future and then sit and fold our arms and then let all people destroy the current and then think we are going to inherit a future. There will be no future to inherit. You understand?
So why did you disengage or disassociate yourself from political parties?
I don't want to lie to you. I cannot give you a blueprint or an answer in saying this is how you can change the consciousness of a person to be able to become a good reader. It's very hard. Even our leaders are not reading. You understand? So even our leaders are not reading. So
Do you have passion to inspire people? Do you have passion to make a difference in your community? Guess what? You have an opportunity to make a difference today. Welcome to All Things Leadership Podcast, where we believe that every believer is a leader. And today we have an amazing guest who happens to be my brother, and he's doing an amazing work in the community. If you haven't subscribed, please hit the button below, hit subscribe, share, comment, tell us what you think about this episode. So without further ado, welcome Ubafo Kwanele Hadebe.
thank you.
Yeah.
It feels good to be here.
Yeah.
It's nice to be here.
Yeah, Nanubala.
Yeah.
Fantastic,
yeah.
bro.
No, thank you.
Who's the person in your cap?
No, this is Che Guevara. Che Guevara, a revolutionary from Cuba, or who fought with the Cuban people for the independence of Cuba, but he was an Argentinian. He was from Argentina, a doctor by profession. And then when he was supposed to go and practice, and then he took a decision that no, he's going to go and fight for the liberation of the people of Cuba and the people of Africa or the world as a whole.
And did he achieve his dream?
For Cuba, yes, because he fought alongside with Fidel Castro, who then became the president of independent Cuba. So I can say maybe for what he had envisioned for the liberation of Cuba, he did achieve it. But then for what he wanted to achieve for himself, or something he aspired to see, where all the people of the world are free and not oppressed, he did not achieve that, because unfortunately he was killed or assassinated in Bolivia, if I'm not mistaken, because when Cuba had started with being independent as a government of Fidel Castro, ila asuka khona uChe Guevara saying, I have done my work in Cuba. I now need to go and inspire other revolutions in other countries, because we are fighting one enemy, which is the United States of America. So that's what he wanted to do, to ukuphendula wonke lawa amanye ama countries to become socialist and communist countries, so that they can defeat imperialism, which he deemed as the United States.
Yo. So you would say ibizwa ngani lento le umuntu olela abantu
umzabalazi iqhawe.
Iqhawe.
Iqhawe uChe Guevara lamaqhawe, because the interesting part is that he had an opportunity to go and practice as a doctor. He had an opportunity to become rich. He had an opportunity to pursue his own dreams, but he sacrificed all those dreams at the altar of liberating black people or the oppressed people.
Sure.
You understand? But the problem nowadays, we sacrifice the cause of liberating for individualism or individual benefits. So that's one of the things that makes us love Che Guevara, because if you can look at the doctors today, they become people who are important in society, and in that importance they alienate themselves from the struggles, the lived experiences and day-to-day struggles of our people. You understand? So Che Guevara said, I'm not going to do that, I'm going on the ground, I'm going to fight for the people. That's what he did.
Is that one of the reasons that motivated you to want to work on the ground in building communities?
I can say maybe chair is part of, but maybe we need to start somewhere before we get to chair.
Okay.
Because I'm more of a student of black consciousness.
Okay.
You understand? And then black consciousness ideology and philosophy, it's the one that teaches us to become more active in the community that we live in, because there's no one who's coming to save us.
But how did you get exposed to such content? Because yeah,
no,
what happened?
I think it's a funny story, by the way, but an interesting one, because I don't remember the year, but I think it was elections, national elections. I think it was the national elections, if not before 2012. Yeah, I think it's before 2012 or within that era, that period. A guy called Umhlengi, who I call General. He comes, we know nothing about politics. Another friend of mine is and then he comes and says, hey, send Pumugo for Taylor Mandela. You understand? In Pumugo for Taylor Mind you, I'm a young man who has been taught about Rainbow Nation, who has been taught about the 27 years imprisonment of Nelson Mandela, right? And then when this guy comes and he bashes on Nelson Mandela and calls him a sellout, and that triggers something within my consciousness to say, but Chief, why are you doing this? You are now disrespecting the old man. You are disrespecting our stalwart, our revolutionary, our idol. You understand? Because that's what we have been taught. And then he says, do you know who is the original liberation movement or the authentic liberation movement in this country? You understand? And then he starts speaking about the Sobukwe's, the PAC of Azania. I did not know anything about those people. You understand? And then he says, no, Mandela was not imprisoned for 27 years. I don't know that. You understand? There is someone called Uchafta Masemula from the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania. He's giving me all these things at one time. Now, I'm confused. But my confusion triggered me to go and do more research. Sure. I now go and dig about this Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania, about this Robert Mangaliso Sobukwe, and to my surprise, ngathola into engakaze ngiyifunde esikoleni.
Sure.
Because I've never done history post grade 9. I've never done history as a subject. But now when I get exposed to the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania, which was responsible for mobilizing for the 21 March Sharpeville Day, which we now call the Human Rights Day. They were behind the mobilization, something they called the Mass Positive Action Campaign of that time. And then I learned about Jafta Khalima Masemula. Jafta was the one who was imprisoned for 28 or 29 years in Robben Island. So I get all that history. And then I ask myself one question to say, in this one, why is history a deep, a rich, you understand?
Okay.
And then I think that's the way it started.
Sure.
I started digging more, I started to meet with the Gaio General to question him more about this Pan-Africanist ideology or Pan-Africanism ideology. All these people that he was mentioning, you understand? And to my surprise again, I then get exposed to Stephen Bantu Biko.
Okay.
The black consciousness ideology, philosophy, and then the BCM, the Black Consciousness Movement, your BPC, your SASO, South African Student Organization of BIO. So, yonke le history, itriggereshwa ilea incident,
sure,
where this guy comes and says, you're busy voting for a sellout. So you can imagine if I became ignorant. So that's one of the things that we suffer from as black people. We become ignorant with information as taller, and then we take that information as holier than holier.
So what you encourage is that abantu kufanele bakwazi ukuquestiona the content that they are given, so that they find deeper facts rather than what they are given on the surface. Most definitely.
I think usukungayena umuntu. I mean, I always say we must question everything. All ideas must be tested at the altar of fire. You understand? Yeah. And that's what I always say. If you tell me this thing, you must be able to support.
Yes.
Even if it's correct. But I must question and investigate if it's correct, even if you understand what you are saying is correct.
Yes.
So I think that's one of the things that has killed black people. Hence why we are able to see singene nangoma yiphi culture esuke reactionary, esuke backward is ingeke isize ndawo because silutheka kalula and we don't question anything. Hence why we've been able to live with oppression and exclusion for more than 40 years now. We are comfortable. We find the comfort. Hence why we are able to live comfortable with people who suffer from drug addiction. And then be able to create a space for them and call them Amapara. We are creating a group that must exist. Hence why I said at one point we are going to see those type of people or that group called Amapara standing up and protesting for their rights.
Lies, bro.
I'm telling you, because it's what we have done as a people. We get comfortable with abnormal things. And then when we get comfortable with abnormal things, and then we make space for those things to live in society. Hence why we are able to live with criminals. We don't question criminals, but we question people who are doing progressive things. A person from next door tries something progressive, we question it. But someone start being active in crime, we don't question that. Because
it's almost like we've made a norm of it.
Of an abnormal thing.
Sure.
That's the problem with us as black people. So hence why I say we must question everything, even if it's right. But let us question that thing so that we can learn more.
Sure.
Because sometimes I don't question in order to attack. I question in order to get more information and understand and be taught. Because we need to be taught. Some people will say we learn to unlearn. So we must learn new things to unlearn old things.
Yes, it's a matter of habits.
Exactly.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So you sound like a real politician.
No, man.
How do you define this word politics? Like in the simplest forms with your understanding?
I always say thank you for that question, because I think a lot of people are confused around the question of politics or the word politics. For me,
what's your understanding? Because I'll tell you what I think.
Yes.
Okay.
Please share, and then I'll share mine.
No, mine is very shallow. Bro.
Yes.
When I think of politics, I think of a political party or a governing system. That's it.
Okay. I beg to differ, right?
Okay. Yes.
Because I always warn, especially in particular young people, in saying when I speak of politics, I do not speak of a political party.
Okay.
There's a difference between politics and political parties. For me, politics is about power, is about resources, is about principle.
Power, resources, principle.
Yes. It's the allocation of power, it's the allocation of resources, and principle. That is politics for me. You understand? So when I speak of politics, I don't mean to say that type of, or that certain political party, that certain political party. No, I mean to say currently, what is the allocation of power? What is the allocation of resources? What is the allocation of principle? Now, in a South African society, now let's get to the South African society, you understand? Who has power? Who has resources?
Sure.
You understand? So that is where we can be able to know what is real politics, not reactionary politics. Hence why we are so divided. We have so many political parties existing for no reason.
A lot.
You understand? Because we have not come to terms and understand what is politics, genuine politics. For in a layman's language or in a layman's understanding.
Yeah.
I always say, ipolitiki exista yonke ndawo. We have politics everywhere, in the family, in the community, in church, and everywhere there's politics. For the mere fact that we share ideas and my idea or my view or my conviction is different from yours, that is politics for me.
Sure.
Because there's contestation of ideas. For the mere fact of and I'm going to fight for that thing.
Yeah.
That is political. I say, but Christ, Christ belongs to me. I'm now trying to allocate the power of Christ. I'm trying to allocate the power of resources to me. You understand? So that is politics. The minute the minute siqala siphikisana ngepower, the minute siqala siphikisana ngokuthi ama resources mele allocate kuphi.
Sure.
That is politics. That is politics.
Yo.
Even in heaven, uSathane meqala efuna ukujampela isihlalo sikaNkulunkulu,
Or should I put
uNkulunkulu had to intervene. I'm disciplined. Well, Chief, you don't do that. This is my chair. You understand? So that is politics.
Yeah.
That is politics. So we must run away from this thing. Hence why we are depoliticized. And that's one of the things the governing party, I think, they've successfully done for the past 30 years. To depoliticize our people. In particular, young people. To depoliticize them, to make them hate anything that has got to do with politics.
Sure.
That's the biggest mistake we have done as a people, and that's the biggest achievement they have achieved as the governing party.
Yo.
You understand? Because it works for them when you have a depoliticized generation.
Because they will not question anything.
They will not question anything. Why and when did that start? It started right after the 1976 student uprising that was led by the great Tsietsega Mashinini Onkgopo Tsetero as the teacher of Tsietsega Mashinini and the rest of young people who led that successful protest. That is where it started, because that movement was clear and was solid that we are young people, we are black young people, students who are saying we want this, we want that. We don't want any interference with outside or from those people as it's our political parties. Because if you investigate about what happened on that day, there's no political party that can claim that they were involved in organizing students.
So students organized themselves?
Organized themselves.
Sure.
That is what black consciousness teaches us. It says if black consciousness is a self-introspection tool that you use to self-introspect yourself and to come to an understanding of knowing that you have been complicit in your own destruction and oppression.
Oh.
You understand? And once you come to that realization, it's there where you are now going to start organizing for yourself.
Sure.
God is not in the habit of coming down from heaven to help us here. That's what Stephen Bantu Biko says. So there's no political party that got involved. It was students through the ideas of a black consciousness who organized themselves and changed the political landscape and direction of the country. Now, you can't be having the very same thing. That's what the governing party, I think, said. You can't be having the reputation of 1976. But unfortunately, in 2015, again it happened. Students organized themselves outside.
Fees must fall?
Fees must fall. Outside this thing of political parties. They organized themselves as students. And they were able again to shift the political landscape of this country. So I think what the governing party has done, or former governing party, what it has done is to depoliticize the progressive or the motive forces of change.
But what is the cause of that?
Now, that's where we are going. That's where we are going. When I say the motive forces of change, I mean to say young people.
Sure.
Because they are the motive. I do not believe in this notion of saying we are the future. We are the current who are curating the future.
Come on.
You understand?
Yeah.
Because we can't be saying we are the future and then sit and fold our arms and then let all people destroy the current and then think we are going to inherit a future. There will be no future to inherit. You understand? So we are the current who is curating the future.
Do you think it's a thing of holding on in an overdue way? So you've been given a portfolio and when what are the contributing factors of such behavior? Because I would think if I have a son, I want that my son to achieve greater than what I've achieved. What is it that causes me as a father to say my son is becoming too much of a competition to me? You know, I need to hold on to these resources and to this power that I've received.
I think it's a very complex question. And I think it's very ngobuso. I think I see unpack it proper.
Yeah.
But I think what we need to understand first is that when we deal with a black man, an African man, what type of a person are we dealing with? That's very important, my leader, because I think we always treat black people as the same as other races, and that's very wrong. We are dealing with the people that have been dehumanized, exploited, abused, killed, psychologically and mentally abused, destroyed, the conscience of the man has been broken. That's a type of a person that we are dealing with, an underdeveloped native. We are dealing with an inferior. Because this thing of inferiority does not belong to it belongs to us all as black people. We are all inferior. You understand? So when these so-called leaders, when they get to power, Frantz Fanon says, the native, when they start to make contact with the white world, they will do anything to seek approval from that white world. You understand? So these so-called leaders have not been honest with themselves, have not been honest with us as a nation. Because they get to power, they know what they are supposed to do, but they don't do that. They become too comfortable within the status quo, within the unequal power relations that exist in society. They continue to maintain and sustain those unequal power relations because they benefit from them. You understand? So it becomes a challenge for them to relinquish power to a clear and progressive generation of young people. Hence why you would find that within their political parties, the youth leagues have been co-opted to become tools and loud hailers of the older generation.
Sure.
You understand? That's what they become. They become saying, imbongi, that's what they call them. They become imbongi of praising the leadership. They do not question the leadership.
Sure.
Because they want proximity within the setup.
Sure.
They want comfortability within the status quo. So those who question the norm will become abnormal.
That's what's happening, actually.
That's what is happening. So the older generation will do anything to sustain their crumbs. Because in actual fact, these are crumbs. They are not benefiting. They are just eating crumbs. And in them eating these crumbs, they will then block everyone who is going to disturb a peace, or who is going to disturb whatever arrangement they have with the status quo.
Yo.
That's the problem. So I think maybe kulapho the reason ubabe ngafuna ukubona ingane yakhe ithuthuka, that we are dealing with ubaba underdeveloped. That's how I can characterize it. How do we expect ubaba to take care of the family while the father himself is clueless? You understand?
Sure.
So you need a clear father who understands this is what we are dealing with. Therefore, nothing melesikulaphi. You understand? Hence why ngekuthatha udokotela wengqondo uthi akayolapha ithambo.
Sure.
So we have not been honest ngesituation esiyithola sikuyona thina la eSouth Africa, in particular black people.
So is that the reason why you choose to work on the ground, helping communities?
I think that's one of the reasons. To instill this consciousness kwabantu bakithi bokuthi we can do it for ourselves.
Sure.
One of very progressive scholars used to say, if not us, then who?
Sure.
If not now, then when? You understand? So it's to make our people basibambele ngezabo, but not negating the importance, mind you, of the state in transforming society.
How do you do that?
Okay, I will get there. I'm not trying to negate the importance of the state in transforming society, but there must be urgent responsibility by the people to change their conditions on the ground.
Come on.
You understand? So that's what we are dealing with. The state is very important. You can't run away from the state because that is the reality that we find ourselves in currently. Yes, back then there was no state. That was the reality at that time. But the reality right now is that we have a state.
Yes.
But then how do you make sure that the state is responsive to the needs and cries of the people? Is to make the people on the ground be conscious of themselves and who they are and what they want.
And that activates action.
That activates action because we can theorize, but if there's no practice, it's a problem. And abantu bakithi osemakhaya does not care about Karl Marx, does not care about your theory and your policies and everything. They just want to see their immediate situation and condition being transformed. You understand? So when you instill the consciousness, you cannot wait for anyone.
Sure.
It's where they are going to try by all means to do whatever they can do for themselves until they come to the realization that they do not have resources to totally transform society. You understand? Because let me make an example. If we were to say transforming Mbali as a logish township, it's a township. You understand? We can become active, be conscious, but it does not change the reality that Mbali is a creation of the spatial planning of the apartheid regime.
Okay, elaborate on that.
Right. We understand that there was land dispossession of the African people. When people or when the natives of this country were dispossessed and forcefully removed from their rich lands, they were taken to what we call concentration camps. That's how we see the townships. The townships being built, being constructed, they started immediately after the 1913 Land Act, Natives Land Act. You understand? That was legitimizing the theft of the land of the African people by the European settlers. You understand? So that is where the creation of Abombali, Abomlazi, and other townships came about. Okushukuthi ilokishi is not out of our choice as the people abahlala khona. We find ourselves in the townships primarily on the fact that we were brought there by the system.
Sure.
So the spatial planning of the apartheid said black people are going to live there, white people are going to live there. Segregation. And there's going to be clear difference in terms of development.
Okay.
You understand? Hence why you'd find that even now, suburbs are still progressive and proper compared to the townships.
And it's, I feel like I see depression, I see overpopulation. You know, I mean, like there's tons of families that have like 17 family members or 14 ku 4 room, you know, not on purpose, but it's because of the situation you're trying to work around it. Interesting.
But as you are there, when you mention depression, you mention the overpopulation of a township. Hence why we say all our problems, we can run away from this reality, my brother, but we cannot. All our problems as black people are interrelated.
What does that mean?
They are all connected.
Oh, okay, yes, yeah.
All our problems. Whether you are a doctor, whether you are an engineer, whether you are a pastor, whether you are a hobo, all our problems are interrelated as black people. Do you know that a study was conducted and it showed that the most bought pills in pharmacies are the antidepressant pills? And most of the people who buy these pills is the working class. It's people who are working.
Sure.
Now, investigate or connect the dots. Why are they buying antidepressant pills? It's because they are underpaid, yet they are overworked. And while they are underpaid and overworked, then the expenses of life, they are too high for them to afford. There's high prices of fuel, there's high prices of food, there's bond, there's installment, there's so much for the working class.
Sure.
But then the working class, because they have not come to the realization that there must be collective consciousness and collective action, they will go by their own and their individual to buy antidepressant pills, trying to deal with a so-called problem, but they are dealing with the manifestation.
Sure.
They are not dealing with the problem of capitalism that is underpaying them and overworking them.
Sure.
Yeah, they are not dealing with the system, the systemic government system that is constantly preying upon the working class.
Do you think it's because people are scared for their lives?
I think our people are not even aware what is at stake. I think that's why I said the biggest problem is to be depoliticized. We have been made to focus on ourselves. If mina nge right,
sure.
then no one and to find out ukuthi kuba right kwakho kuzolasta for unyaka noma kuzolasta for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then after 2 weeks, when you now realize that you are on your own, and then you start going alone, trying to get these pills and everything. So hence why I started about Che Guevara. I think when Zega Shawavula Che Guevara, someone who sacrificed his individual aspirations for the collective responsibility.
Come on.
So that is why maybe our people are like this.
Sure.
This is why maybe our people are like this. They've been made, or they've been conditioned to think only and only for themselves.
Sure.
Alone.
Sure.
And then that's a problem for us to be able to change the conditions that we live under. It's a problem.
What do you make of this notion? This is a lost generation. People should just tap out, especially with the young people, AMA 2000. What's the motivation behind the thought, and why?
Okay, I think it's very important. Masikhuluma ngezinto siqale siyilinke nehistory. When you say, they say the 2000s are a lost generation. I would like to borrow from Utsietsi Mashinini when he was interviewed in 1976, immediately after the protest or the massacres of students. This is what he said when he was questioned about the education system of this country. He says, I quote, "The black student in this country is being domesticated to become a better tool for the white man when he joins the working community." Close quote. That's what he says. The black student is being domesticated to become a better tool for the white man when he joins the working community. Now, why? The question is, why do they say AMA 2000 are a lost generation? The people who were supposed to domesticate the 2000s generation to become motive forces of change have failed. Ooh, that is why we must not even try to see AMA 2000. It lies within us as the older generation than AMA 2000. What have we done?
Sure.
Because if you are fed up with this type of living, then you need to find an alternative. Tina, we grew up knowing very well with the system or the gutter. Sometimes that's how we refer to the township. The gutter is brutal. The gutter is abusive. The gutter is dehumanizing us. And when we grew up, there were people who were trying to find at least some sort of upila within that type of situation. Trying to create a bit of a norm through social activities, in art, in sports, and other activities.
Of which it's dead, by the way, right?
It's dead. And who is responsible?
Sure.
It's us, the older generation. So those who say AMA 2000 are a lost generation, they are confused themselves. We have not been able to domesticate AMA 2000 to become the motive forces of change. That's what has happened in this country. Hence why the Mapiano genre has been able to domesticate them to become tools of the groove.
Sure.
Even in that, my brother, we have not been able, there is an opportunity for us to change their consciousness in their current form.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we don't need to organize people. People are already organized.
How?
Okay. As we are referring to AMA 2Ks. If you say you have a program, so trust me, we have done programs, so many of them. They are not going to come.
Yes.
They are not going to come. Because nothing interests them. They're interesting. They know that drugs, they know these things. But nothing interests them. But should you say we are going to have Amapiano dance competition? You understand? They will come in numbers.
Yeah.
And they are already organized.
Sure. Because that is where interest
econ. You understand? And then in that moment, it's where you are going to be able to change in a perception instill proper teachings, and then change the consciousness.
Yeah.
You understand? So it's us who are supposed to be working with AMA 2Ks. Because this thing is like a relay. a relay, you understand?
Sure.
Where we are supposed to be passing the baton.
The baton, yeah.
Passing the baton.
Is there someone at the gate?
Yeah, we understand.
Check. Sure.
So we are supposed to be passing the baton. But if we do not do that,
sure,
then we have a chance to get each generation will not even understand what's in the responsibility of society. That's what is going to happen. Just like us, when you depoliticize young people, they will not understand what is the meaning of the economy. We don't even know. That's why beqala kudlala indaba siyazibuka, but then mase kufika le ngxenye yokuthi kuvezwe ezomnotho, we are not interested. Omunye uthatha ifoni because we don't know.
Yeah.
Yini leyana. When you speak of social activism,
futhi ukuthi yini leyana and how does it impact me today?
Exactly. Exactly. So the depoliticization project, because it's a project, you understand?
Sure.
Because once I become conscious of the situation that I am in, definitely I'm going to rebel, I'm going to revolt, I'm going to organize for action. So the system or the government or the state, in the operating ngayo ukuthi ibayekeni babe ignorant. The more we become ignorant, it's the more we are going to see less action from the masses. Hence why you would find some other leaders of political parties saying, no, we are here just to make sure that we do not have an unled revolution. If we are not seen as people who are championing their needs, the needs of the masses, then the masses are going to organize by themselves and revolt and lead a revolution. And we do not want to see that, an unled revolution. That's what leaders say, or so-called the leaders of other political parties, They are afraid to see the masses leading themselves.
Wow. So why did you disengage or disassociate yourself from political parties? What was your reasoning? Because there was a season you said, this parliamentary thing, I'm not about it. I'm about transforming people's lives on the ground.
Yes.
What was happening there?
Again, it's a very long response. But I was a member of a certain political party.
Yes.
I was a member of that political party. After my own investigations about the party, reading their policies, reading their history and everything, and then I got attracted to the party.
Yes.
Mind you, I've read only positive things about the party, right? I have read a deep and rich history about the party. I have read good progressive policies about the party.
Yeah.
And then I joined the party. I became active as a member. I joined the branch. I started working the ground, getting more members for the party. And then it happened that, mind you, I've never been a member of the ruling party.
Yes.
That's one I can clearly state.
Yes.
I've never been a member of that party. And then it happened, there was a congress for that political party.
Yeah.
An elective congress or an elective conference. The backstabbing, nophixilili nayo yonke into ongayicabanga, nobugebengu babukhona in building the congress itself. It's alienated me, Zisuka.
Okay.
I then said to myself, okay, now this is what happens. You know ukuthi kuba nento ukuthi siyalobhisha when we go to a congress. No, thina sifuna ukuvotela bani, nina ama branches votela nobani and every. Mind you, I was never exposed to that type of politics. I've never been politically active before. But then when I join this party and we go to this congress, I find that how congress are not trustworthy. You understand?
Yeah.
Oh, this is how they caucus, this is how they do things. Oh, nothing is done transparently. And that is where I started being alienated from the party. And many other things that unfolded thereafter. And then I started to say, if this party that has so much history, deep, rich history and deep policies, they are doing like this, then definitely all these other parties, when they go to the elective conference, this is how they behave. This is how money is being splashed around, buying delegates and everything. This is how they operate. Therefore, there's no genuine revolution here.
Sure.
You understand? So that is where I started pulling back my legs and saying, no, I don't think this is the right answer for now.
Sure.
Mind you, you need to remember that I said we must never negate the importance of the state.
Yes.
But then my question at the time was, is this party going to take over the state? Does it stand a chance of taking the state and transforming the state to transform society? No, they don't.
Sure.
They are just concerned and preoccupied with getting a few seats in parliament and then getting a salary for that one and then having these smaller nyana marches and then yonke lento, it's PR.
Sure.
So that is why I said, in them doing all these things, does it have impact on the lives of our people? Does it have impact on the ground, on the lived experiences and lived the reality of our people? Then the answer was no. Then I said, I need them to start something that is going to have an impact on the lives and live the realities of the people on the ground.
So what were some of those projects you've been championing?
As I have been saying, young people are the motive forces of change. We need to invest. They are the human capital, in fact. That's how we call them. They are the human capital. So we need to start investing in them. I'm an artist. I've been an artist for almost young people. I understand. And then I started saying, for me to be able to organize young people, I need to give them something they love.
Yes. And
then we started doing theater, organizing drama classes, theater classes, grouping together young people to come and learn how to act. You understand? And then giving them political content, giving them spiritual content, because we are spiritual beings before being human beings. So that is how I started organizing, finding a space, getting young people from the community to say, if you are interested in doing theater, in doing music, doing poetry, come, let us meet, sit down, have something. And sakala kwenzeka. You understand? And that is where I came to the conclusion of saying young people are very progressive. In fact, the 2Ks, the 2000s, they are very progressive. If you give them a task, they will surely execute. Hence why they become so aggressive when they become a hitman. You understand? That's why that's how good they are. If you can go and look at the statistics in Bali, I think 2021 from January to April, about 4,000 people were killed. That's what the statistics said, 2021. And then when you investigate more or go deeper in that statistic, you'd find that majority of the perpetrators and the victims were young people. That's a disaster, I understand. The perpetrator is young, the victim is young. That's how good they are in whatever they do. That's why they are so good in Kwama piano dance. They are so good. It's them who are making this industry, this so-called genre. Now, after organizing them to do theater, we said, but it's not all of them who do theater. It's not all of them who are poets. How do we touch the whole of the community? Because till now we can have a space, a rehearsal, a sense of but it's just us there. And then we started doing community programs. We will hire a community hall using our own money, by the way. No one has ever sponsored us. We'll use our own money to book a hall, to book the sound system, do posters, and then say we are having a talent show. Or we are having a heritage celebration show. We are having a cultural, where we understand. So it's just like that. And then say, come and showcase whatever you have as a young person. If you were a drama group, come and showcase. If Nenzingoma, come and showcase. You come all for free. Now we are going to participate for free because we are trying to build the community. Because we must not monetize everything. That's what has killed this society, to commodify everything. Everything is a commodity. Even theater. That is why theater is the most important form of art that we can use to transform our people, to transform the society. But we have commodified the theater. It only belongs to a special section of the people. A lot of us is as a sketch. Once you start acting a stage, they are but the sketch is, you understand. Not understanding with the industry. So we started there having programs. There's one particular program that we did. September last year. It was called Africanization of Beauty, cultural pageant. It was a pageant where we get ingane which is model, but it was Africanized, not Westernized. We ran away from this norm of Miss South Africa type of a pageant where they wear my heels, they wear ingubo, they wear my waves and inkope, artificial beauty. We said we don't want any artificial beauty. So umuntu oye contest lapha wehamba ngekhanda lakhe elingalukiwe noma eliluka amagoda noma eliluka isnuphi egqoke imvunulo yakhe ehamba ngenyawo engatshikozi ehambiswa kwentombi methi intombi ayihambe nje. So that's how we did it, because we understand lento ukuthi noma ubanika ama programs but put content.
Yes.
They must learn. It's edutainment, education and entertainment.
Yeah.
So that's how we do it. In whatever we do, even our stories, our theater stories or drama stories, they are more educative than for you just to have fun and enjoy them. You enjoy them, but you learn a lot from them.
And it's easier to learn from something that you enjoy.
Exactly. I think that's how, in fact, our education system should be characterized or should be organized. This thing of coming to a class, we sit there, stwala my desk, and then the teacher will come in front of us with a textbook. Asfundis. After that, do you know what that creates? It creates a relationship of authority and subject. The teacher is always authority. The students are always subject. Hence why you will now have a rebellious attitude from the students for no reason. Because they hate authority.
Sure.
They hate authority. So whenever authority presents itself in front of them, they will rebel. Some of them, they hate authority because of indawo abaphuma kuzona emakhaya. Omunye ushawa umzali uyahlukunyezwa uma mncane noma yini kuningi okwenzakalayo kuyena. So whatever form of authority is present phambi kwakhe, it becomes a problem. Let's look at how Africans used to teach each other. Mozolandela nje ogogo bethu. Ogogo bethu were proper teachers. Bazosilanda basiqoqe sihlale phansi sisonge inyawo ahlale phansi nendawo and then asifundele inganekwane. Do you understand their energy ayiba khona lapha? And lokulingana okwakuba khona akekho umuntu olapha phambili sonke sihleli la we are equal. You understand? There's no one who is special. And ibalula nento yokwazi ukwamukela information ngendlela esuke. Environment plays a huge role. Hence why you'd find private schools are so progressive than public in terms of infrastructure. We were expected to produce proper and good results while sisayema toilet emgodi.
Sure.
While sifunde classini ngenama window ngenastap ngenaseli ngenagesi, by the way. You understand? We are supposed to match the standard of a boys' college, of a Hilton College, of whatever private school they call. That's not possible. Yes, we are bright, we are intelligent, we are smart, but the environment itself contributes. Kakulu. You understand? So, when we did these programs, for example, a pageant, the Africanization of Beauty pageant, do you know what it was for the very first time? Le ingane zayicontesta kule pageant zenza into efana naleya.
Sure.
And for us, it meant something very big.
Yeah.
Because they came to us after the program and said, yazi ukuthi bengasithembi.
Yes. Yes.
I had no confidence ukuthi ngingakwazi ukugqoka isigege ngihambe phambi kwabantu aba more than 200.
Sure.
You understand? And then what does that do to a child? It brings back hope. As I was saying, ubiko uthi black consciousness is a self-introspection tool. You understand? To self-introspect a hopeless man.
Sure.
A man with no dignity. You understand? So when you do these programs and put content, Africanized content, educational content, it's where you are able to touch the soul of, in fact, the dead soul of a black man.
Sure.
Because we are dead, but we are living. Because what are you when you don't have land? You are dead. You understand? So in fact, when you live the conditions there, they determine for you. Because ungalunga kangakanani, unga right kangakanani, but you'll become a victim.
Sure.
Of the violence and crime. So when we deal with these young people, we deal with them in that fashion, in understanding that we are dealing with an empty shell here.
Sure.
That is why about Robert Sobukwe, they said our cause is noble. It's a noble cause. It's a cause of creating a new man.
Yo.
Is a cause of calling our souls our own, meaning our souls have been dispossessed also.
Yeah.
So how do we repossess those souls? We start by these programs, social programs, in particular focusing on young people to bring back hope and dignity, so that they can rise to the occasion of knowing who they are, because you cannot do anything if ungazazi ukuthi ubani.
Sure. So you did arts, you did modeling, you did sports.
Yes.
And how I'd say the results of sports.
Sports, sisebenzile my brother. I don't want to lie, and I so wish whoever comes into government will be able to have lento yokuthi who are the active people in these communities,
yes,
so that we cannot start something afresh. We can just continue from what has been started. Do you know what mesiqala sports ka what 19? Bese sifile sports ka what 19. Very much. I-netball angazi ngangigcine nini ukuyibona ka what 19. So this is how we did it. We formed something we called Imbali Youth Desk. Imbali what 19 Youth Desk. It's a structure that was not voted for, this case, by anyone. We went to the ward council and said, comrade, see, now we are in touch with the ground, we are in touch with young people, and we do programs. So let us work together. We are going to organize young people, others who volunteer to be part of this structure. That is going to organize programs. We are going to do things for ourselves, but not saying it says stop. We are going to do it for ourselves. And then we went around the whole of what 19, selling the idea to young people, saying, please, it is now time. If not us, then who? Then if not now, then when? You understand? Let us take initiative, responsibility, and then be part of this youth desk. You understand? So that we can do things for ourselves. They bought the idea, Abadabasha, they became part of the youth desk. And then we said, now we have the constituents. What do we do? We do have members now, a youth desk. What do we do? And then we sat down and said, let's start with the sports.
Sure.
We started our teams amaningi from scratch. In fact, wonke our netball sawaqala ka ayengekho. Ayekade engekho before. That's how we did it, because side divide ngokwama voting districts. Ewadini is nama VD aw 7, and then we said each VD is going to produce a soccer team and produce a netball team. So most of our team now is soccer now, saswaqale kabusha. But all of these netball teams aqalwa kabusha ekade exist.
Wow. For
us to be able to have a tournament. You understand? And then the response was amazing. The response was so good. We did the program, it was successful. And then last year we did the program again. But then we said, young people are now familiar with that type of program. There's going to be sports, there's going to be netball and soccer tournament. But we need something that is exciting, something that is historic, something that's going to have impact. And then we said, Kawat 19, we had Stalwart that was responsible for organizing young people. Hence why I say it's us who fail ourselves.
Sure.
There's always been those type of people, community, it's just that we negate them. We don't give them attention, we don't support them. For the whole year.
Sure.
Akathi nje kuyena nasi isinkwa ngiyabonga, knowing very well ukuthi akasebenzi uyenza lento out of full time. So there was this guy that we then said, for 2023 we are going to commemorate or honor one of our legends, Coach Utaya Umteu. You understand? And then we honored him through the tournament with some honoratia, posters and everything. We are going to do a certificate for Umdenwag because we are under resourced, we don't have funding, we don't have money. Nama team asuke with tournament. Asuke ngakhokhile ngisho lot we sent, by the way. It's us who go and look for sponsors and funding. Usikwazi ukuthola lelo jerseys, usikwazi ukuthola lawo medals. So we did the tournament again that day. The response was huge.
Well done. We
had teams from Taluza, we had teams from Snatting, we had many teams. You understand? Others were complaining. How can we not be part of this? Sima, Zutaya, and everything. And their complaint was positive, by the way, because they were saying, but why are you doing this? Kawat 19 is Valelangapant. We know that man. So it brought so much attention and support. In sense, their tournament to honor Umteu.
Sure.
You understand? So yeah, in sports we have got irresponsive. I don't want to lie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bro, you read a lot. What are some of the books that you can recommend for? First of all, how do we change your attitude? Yoguti umuntu akafundi. You know, Tina, we like a lot of social media, a lot of videos and stuff that doesn't get you to concentrate to be developed. That's just my observation. So how do you change the mindset of a person? Osedokshini example, I'm going to be disciplined and I'm going to read. And what books can they start reading just to bring consciousness? And what are other books that you can recommend that can empower another person?
Yo, phone.
Yeah,
it's very hard. I'm full of kambela manga. You know,
how do you do it?
You know, it's very funny, Lendo.
Yeah.
I was not a reader, when I was still in school.
Yes.
I was not a reader, like, honestly. But I always knew what I had capacity to internalize what I have read.
Sure.
Through script reading when I was doing it theater. Because I would get a script today and tomorrow I know all my lines. But that thing did not trigger me in saying, I'm a good reader, you know. I don't want to lie to you. I cannot give you a blueprint or an answer in saying, this is how you can change the consciousness of a person to be able to become a good reader. It's very hard. Even our leaders are not reading. You understand? So even our leaders are not reading. So I cannot sit here on this podcast and then and say, this is how you can change. It's very hard. I don't want to lie. Hence why I said it's a self-introspection tool that you need to have. You need to possess something that we call a self-introspection tool. Oh, you understand that your consciousness, your level of consciousness, or your consciousness, so that you can be able to say, I have a problem. Then I need to sort out this problem. You need to investigate, navigate when introspect yourself. So it's hard because sometimes we read just for the sake of reading and not read for the sake of understanding.
Sure.
Hence why even within the political spaces, you find people who say they read. They read just to use what they have read to attack other people.
Sure.
You understand? How do I say this? There are people who will tell you, I've read Karl Marx. I've read Karl Marx, I've read this, I've read that.
Yeah.
But then when you look at the practicality of what they have read, do they apply it? No, they don't. They will come to you and speak good English.
Yes.
Big words of English.
Yeah.
But then when you look at the conduct of the person on the ground, it does not reflect what they are reading. So this thing of reading comes from a person again. You must be able to convince. I need to read.
Yeah.
And reading, by the way, does not mean reading political content. It starts by reading That's where reading starts. You understand? Yeah. Because now we think reading, we must buy books. No, we have been buying newspapers. It starts. Read that box, that big billboard. We found. Read the headlines. Read those things. Yeah. That's where reading starts for me.
Sure.
You understand? Because once I give you a book, you are not going to finish that book.
Yeah.
You can even finish the book, but then when I ask you to review the book, you will not be able to review the book.
Yeah.
You understand? So you need to read with understanding. And for you to read political content, you need to reach a certain stage of consciousness. For you to be able to read with understanding, read political content with understanding, you need to reach a certain stage of consciousness. Just like Che Guevara said, a revolution is not like an apple.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So, but the books that I can recommend for people to read, as a start, they must go and look for Steve Biko. I write what I like.
Sure.
Steve Biko, I write what I like. Then they look for Frantz Fanon, Black Skin, White Mask. Then they look for Frantz Fanon again, The Wretched of the Earth.
The wretched of
the wretched of the earth. And then they go, if you want to understand the stage that we are in as a people, as Africa, as the world, in terms of the economy and in terms of the political and social landscape that we find ourselves in, you must go and read Nkwame Nkrumah, Neo-colonialism, the last stage of imperialism.
Sure.
And if you want to understand what the system has done to Africa and its resources, you need to go and read Dr. Walter Rodney, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa.
Sure.
If you can read those books, you'll come back and tell me,
Sure.
have we not been living a lie?
Yo, bruh.
Yeah, have we not been living a lie?
Yo, that's so powerful.
Yes.
So, what are you dreaming of?
Yo, my dreams.
Yeah.
I think it's one. The most important one. It is to see an equal South Africa.
Sure.
If we can be able, before I die, to achieve that, ngingahamba kahle kulo mhlaba.
Yo.
If we can see an equal South Africa,
Sure.
I did not say I want to see black people being on top of who black or whoever. I said an equal South Africa.
Everyone having dignity.
Everyone having dignity, loving each other, respecting each other, supporting each other.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So that is my biggest wish.
Wow.
That is my biggest, because if I can say I want to see myself performing in that stage, I want to see myself doing this, I want to see, after I have done those things, does it change the reality that in South Africa we have unequal power relations
Sure.
that are produced by a system of anti-black racism, of capitalism, of patriarchy? You understand? There are lots of inequalities that exist in this country. Sure. So my biggest wish is to see an equal society, an equal South Africa.
Sure.
Because it does not serve anyone for me to go and perform there, to host the biggest program that you have ever seen in Moses Mabhida or in FNP. But then when those people go back to their respective spaces, they go back to a system that dehumanizes them, a system that exploits them, a system that oppresses them.
Sure, man.
Because oppression does not only come from your employer, it also comes from home.
Yeah.
There are so many unequal power relations at home. You understand? Intombazane mele yenze ukuthi umfana, you understand? Already there's patriarchy deep rooted within our family structures. So for us to be able to live freely, we need an equal South Africa.
Yo, that's powerful.
Yeah.
How do people get a hold of you?
They can go to Facebook.
Yeah.
Kwanele Bongane. And then TikTok, I'm there, Kwanele.
Really?
Yes, I'm there on
So
TikTok.
you're a TikToker, man.
I started TikTok now.
Well done.
Kwanele. Yeah, those are the two that I can share, because I cannot share my number.
Bro.
Yeah.
Brilliant conversation.
Thank you.
Thanks, my man.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Gebong.
Danko.
What a great episode. I hope you've learned as much as I did. And thank you so much. Until next time, keep hustling, keep moving. Danko.